Hello, welcome to episode 58 of the Datapack tutorial series for version 1.21. We're going to be running a command where an arrow hits. Now, if the arrow hits in the ground, that's simple enough. The arrow is still there, so we've got something to target. But if it hits a player or an entity, the arrow disappears and we've got nothing to target. That's going to be the harder one to do. This was a request by Venator TV. Let's get on and build it. This tidy up box is just killing anything that's not a player, because we're going to have some skeletons around, because the command that Venator wanted to run, he wanted to summon a mob, so I'm going to use that as my command. Anyway, let's pop over to VS Code and make some folders and files. Okay, I'm just going to put my files straight in the function directory today. Why not? I'm going to have an arrow check. It's going to be checking arrows. Copy that. I'm going to have an arrow initialize. Come on. Thank you. I'm going to have a give arrow. That would be useful so we can get one. In fact, actually, we'll make a recipe for it later as well. What else do we want to do? I'm going to make my own little function to check if it is a skeleton arrow, because that's what I'm going to be calling them, because I'm going to summon a skeleton. So let's say is skeleton arrow. We're going to have two dots there now, aren't we? There we go. And I want to be able to summon the skeleton as well, so I'll do a summon skeleton. Okay, we're going to use the tick. We're not going to use the load, I don't think. I'm going to need some predicates, and we'll have a recipe. So let's do a new folder. Predicate. So that folder is in my namespace. If you close down function, they should be in line with each other. Don't put it in function. Inside predicate, we'll have a new file, and I'm going to say has vehicle. These will make more sense as we use them later. Let's make another one. In ground.json. And I'm going to make another one as well, but we're not actually going to be using it, which is a bit strange. The reason I'm making it is because if you're in a later version, you could use this predicate and it's better. So I'm going to say is moving.json. Again, I'll explain that when we get to it a bit more. And in my namespace, a new folder, recipe, and inside recipe, a new file for skeleton arrow. So the player can make their own skeleton arrows. Okay. Right, let's start with the give arrow. That makes always a sensible place to start. Let's give the executor the function an arrow. I'll give it an item. Well, give it a name. Why not? Give it an item name equals apostrophe speech marks in there. Inside the speech marks, we'll just call it skeleton arrow. Name is not important. Here comes the important bit: the custom data. Minecraft custom data equals, and we'll give it a skeleton arrow true. Okay, save that, pop over, do a reload. If I do press this button here, it is just running the reload command. So I'll be pressing that button from now on. And let's do function give arrow. I've got an arrow, so that's a good sign. Let's look at it. It's a skeleton arrow. That's cool. Let's get a bow so we can fire it later, because it's not going to do anything now. It's just pretty useless at the moment. Well, it still works as a normal arrow, so it's not useless, I suppose. Right, give is done. Bye-bye, give. I think we'll do the tick next. So in here, we're going to execute as any entity whose type equals arrow, whose tag equals spawned will do. Doesn't have the spawned tag. If function is skeleton arrow, and we're going to make that function in a minute, at s run function arrow init. Okay, that's all right. And then we'll process the arrows. Well, actually, we're going to be processing markers that are sitting on the arrows. So we're going to execute as any entity whose type equals marker, whose tag equals skeleton arrow. At that marker, run function arrow check. Okay, so let's finish off this bit here. Is skeleton arrow? I want a function that is going to tell me if the arrow I am currently testing that doesn't have the spawn tag is a skeleton arrow. So let's go to is skeleton arrow, and we'll do some stuff in here. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add that tag at s add, what did we call it? Spawned. Right, so it's only going to check it one time. Now it's got that tag. If we look at our tick, it's no longer going to be targeted by this. That's cool. Okay. And now we will do return. So we're going to exit this function and return a value. The value we're going to return is run execute if items entity at s contents is any item, but that item has custom data tilde not equals skeleton arrow true. So what's going to happen here, we're in the tick and we will execute as the arrow. It doesn't have a tag spawned. Is it a skeleton arrow? We'll pop over to is skeleton arrow. We'll add that tag so we don't check it again, and we'll exit the function. But before we do, we're going to test if it has the tag or the custom data skeleton arrow. If it does, we'll return a success, a true. So in tick, this will be true, and we'll keep going, and we'll initialize the arrow. Okay, so let's do initialize arrow now. I'm going to shut down all these spare windows. Don't need them all. Yes, we'll save changes to that, please. Okay, let's go to arrow init. I want to do a few things in here. I want to summon a marker. Marker ride the arrow. I have to fix, even though they're comments, I know I just have to fix them. There we go. Remove markers init tag. And what else do we want to do? Read word. Let's play a sound. Why not? Let's play a sound. Play sound. Okay. Let's summon a marker. Summon marker. Helpful if you spell summon correctly. Summon a marker. We'll use the namespace. We should always use the namespace, really. At those coordinates. With some tags. We're going to have 2 tags. One is going to be skeleton arrow. There we go. And the other one is going to be init. Marker ride the arrow. Okay. Ride any entity whose type equals Minecraft marker, whose tag equals skeleton arrow, whose tag equals init. Find out why you're unhappy in a minute. Probably need to limit it to 1. It's probably going to tell us there's too many. The selector contains multiple entities. Okay, it's basically saying, hey, you're trying to get too many things to ride the arrow. Stop it. Okay. In that case, what we want to do, limit equals 1. Now you're happy now, aren't you? And we're going to mount at S. So we've summoned a marker, and now that marker is going to ride on the arrow. So as the arrow flies away, the marker is going to be sitting on top riding with it. And then we'll execute on passengers, because remember at the moment we're executing as the arrow. Now we're executing as the arrow's passengers. And we will run tag those passengers, which is just a marker. Remove init. Okay, the init tag was just so we could target it to make it ride the arrow. And let's play a sound. Play sound. Let's pick a skeleton sound of some sort. Oh, I've put place. Play sound. There must be a skeleton. Okay, step. Yeah, that'll do. Why not? Let's play it on the master channel. Let's play it for all players. And let's crank up the volume, actually. So we'll keep the coordinates. Put the volume at 2. 1 for the picture, 0 for the minimum volume. Okay, done. And now we're going to go off to checking the arrow. But when we're checking the arrow, this is where we're going to need our predicates. So let's do has vehicle first. I'm going to make all 3 predicates, and then I'll tell you why I've got these 2, but we're only using 1. So let's go to misode and do the has vehicle one. So let's do condition, entity properties, this, predicate, vehicle. That's it. I'm not going to say what vehicle. I'm just basically just going to say, have you got any vehicle? And we will copy that. Because the arrow is riding, because the marker is riding the arrow is the marker's vehicle. So we're saying, hey marker, do you have a vehicle? Is your arrow still alive? And this is what we're going to use to be checking if it hits an entity. So let's go has vehicle and put that in there. Because the arrow is going to hit a vehicle, the arrow is going to hit an entity, let's say player, the arrow is going to despawn, and the poor marker is going to be left all by himself. It's going to be like, I haven't got a vehicle. And we're like, then the arrow must have hit something, let's summon our mob. Okay, let's do in ground. Back to misode, we will do, I think we'll just remove that vehicle. There we go. And I'm going to do an NPT check. It's worth noting that if you do an NPT check in a predicate, it takes just as long as doing an NPT check outside a predicate. I'm just putting it in here because it makes it nice and easy to use either of the predicates. So NPT check, I am going to be checking, open that, in ground, unground, in ground, true. And let's have a look at that. That actually looks right. I don't think I need to change anything there. Let's copy it. Copy. You are going to go into in ground. Boink. Okay. And is moving. This one's better than in ground because in ground is doing an NPT check. And NPT checks are slow. In fact, NPT checking the player I think is probably the slowest thing you do because that's to serialize all their data. And imagine if they had ender chests full of shulker boxes and all this sort of stuff. That's a lot of data. But let's get rid of that NPT tag there. And we're going to go to movement. And we're going to say speed. Set it as a float, 0. Okay, so if the thing is not moving, let's copy that. And we're going to put that into is moving. Okay. Right. Now, let's do the arrow check function. First, we're going to summon a skeleton and exit the function if the marker has no vehicle. So that's our first one. Execute. Unless... Now, who are we running as here? Let's check our tick. This is arrow check. So we are running as the marker. Okay. Execute unless predicate has vehicle. So we're saying, hey marker, do you have a vehicle? If you don't, then we will do this. But before we will exit this function. But before we exit the function, we will run this other function, which is going to be summon skeleton. Okay, so the arrow hits a player, the arrow despawns, the marker no longer has a vehicle, it summons a skeleton and exits this function. Cool. If that doesn't happen, let's check if the arrow is in the ground. Execute on vehicle, because remember we're executing as the marker, so we're now switching to the arrow. If predicate. Now, here we go. In 1.21, an arrow is always considered moving. It's a bug. Even if it's stuck in the ground and it's not moving at all, it is always moving. So this is moving. This speed check is never going to work in 1.21. If you're in a later version, I'm not sure, I'm afraid, which version they fixed it in. I do know it works in 1.21.4. So try this first, unless you're in 1.21. Try this movement predicate first, because it's slightly better. We're not serializing any NBT. If you are in 1.21, we're going to have to use the isGround and do the NBT check. So there's your difference. So here in our arrow check, try isMoving first if you are in a later version. If that's not working for you, and it's not going to work for me, then switch it to the in-ground predicate check. Okay, I am in 1.21, so I'm going to use in-ground, and then I'm going to run it on the passengers. So we're back to the marker, and I'm going to run function. I'm going to attempt to spell run function summon a skeleton. Save. Okay, so first, does the marker have no vehicle? If it doesn't have a vehicle, summon the skeleton and exit this function. Do not run this command. If it does have a vehicle, well, is that a vehicle stuck in the ground? If it is, run this function. Cool. Let's make the summon skeleton function. And we'll pop in here. Well, first thing, let's summon the skeleton. That's it. I just want default. So we'll just leave it like that. And we will then execute on vehicle. So we're switching to running as the arrow. Run, kill the arrow, and then we'll kill the marker. Save. So in check, it doesn't matter if we are hitting an entity or we're getting stuck in the ground. We're going to summon a skeleton, and that is going to summon a skeleton, kill the arrow, kill the marker. Cool. I think we're done. We'll do a recipe though. Let's go and test this. We've done a bit, so good to test. Let's close those windows. We don't need them. Doobly doobly doo. Here we are. Okay, let's do reload. Come here. Right. Boing. There's a skeleton. Now, if I shoot that skeleton instead, there's another one. Yeah, okay. And that's what this block is for. Ooh. That's why we had this command prepared. So, definitely working. I can shoot an entity, and we get a skeleton. I can shoot a skeleton. I can shoot the ground, and I get a skeleton. There we go. Cool. Excellent. Let's make a recipe for it, so the players can actually craft their own in-game. I think we'll just go straight to Misode then, actually. Let's switch this to recipe. What should we have? Let's have a shapeless recipe. So you can stick the stuff anywhere into the crafting table. It doesn't matter as long as there is ingredients. As long as there is an arrow. Oh, I probably should put Minecraft arrow. Good to use the namespace. And as long as there's a bone. Oh, it's a skeleton, isn't it? A bone? A bone. There you go. Chuck in one bone, chuck in one arrow, and you're going to get a skeleton arrow. Well, not at the moment. You're not going to get anything. Let's put a result in. Result is going to be an arrow. And we'll have to give it some components. So what did we have? We had an item name. Let's find that. Item name. Skeleton arrow. Skeleton arrow. Now, how's that going to look over here? Sort of okay, but I believe I would need to escape those speech marks. Ah, that actually looks all right. Okay, so yeah, I've put it in speech marks in there, and I think that's going to be fine over there. Over here is where I was looking. Yeah, okay, that looks all right. We need the custom data. That's the important thing. So let's get the custom data. There we go. Let's add that. It's going to be a string and custom data. Open and close those. Skeleton arrow true. Let's put that in. Does anything need to change in there? Do you know what? I think that's all right. Have I finally learned how to do this correctly? Let's test it, because that looks all right to me. All right, let's copy it. Copy. Let's take it over to VS Code. Let's pop it into our recipe. It seems happy. Okay, let's go over to Minecraft. Let's get ourselves some bones. Bone, I'll have 64 of them, please. I'll have some normal arrows. Let's just check they are normal. I haven't done anything crazy. Yep, okay. Oh, got a skeleton arrow. Now, I've already crafted one while testing. So what you'll probably find is this will not show in the recipe book for you until you've crafted one. So let's put that in there. Let's put that in there. Certainly says skeleton arrow. Let's grab them all. And they stacked with my original one, which I got using the give command. So that's great as well. Cool. We're done. Hey, that's probably going to land on me, isn't it? Yeah, I think we'll move. Whee! Okay, there we go. So we have a bow, which is a normal bow, which fires a special arrow that has a tag, and if it hits a entity, the arrow disappears and the marker complains and summons a skeleton, or if it just gets stuck in the ground, the marker complains again and it summons a skeleton. Cool. Okay. That one was for Venator TV. Hopefully that's going to be helpful. I ran some ideas past GalSergey and he said, yeah, what you're doing is all right. And then gave me all the commands anyway. So, once again, wonderful GalSergey has been unbelievably helpful. So thank you very much. Hope you all had a good Christmas and hope you had a good New Year. Well, we haven't had a whole year yet, so I hope you had a good New Year's Eve. Lying in bed watching this with a hideous hangover or anything. And if you're too young for a hideous hangover, well, very naughty you. Okay, I'll stop waffling. I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.